So if we celebrate a win, it's only fair that we hear a loss.
I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Hey everybody, Ron here from The Truth About Addiction. Today I have a special guest on, and we're going down a road that is very close to my heart and very close to a lot of my listeners, I'm quite sure. So today we're introducing Neil Walshe. Neil, thank you very much. Thanks for talking to The Truth About Addiction.
Thanks for having us, mate.
Neil has come up with this incredible project, and it's anti-pokies, anti-gambling. I tell you what it is, and I think what it is, coming from my point of view, he's come up with an honesty about gambling. He's come up with the reality and the truth. So I like the truth. My company's called The Truth About Addiction. The truth about gambling is a very good name for your company. You know, I mean, like, the truth about gambling is we don't really gain, we lose. You know, we lose everything. And so I'll open the floor for you, mate. You can go for it. Tell us what you've done, what your project started, where it started from, and what it was like for you, what you've done about it, and what it's like today. And then I'll join in wherever I think I need to be important.
Yeah, awesome. I do like that you kind of call it the truth. Like, I've often thought of it as trying to make it a bit more fairer. You know what I mean? Like, not that gambling or poker machines are fair at all. I'm not personally a gambler or a pokey player. I think I've put $20 in my life, but so many mates are into it, and it affected our family quite heavily. That's kind of, you know, there's a bit of a backstory there, which I could delve into. It could take a while, but you know, we've all got those backstories. You told me about your kind of casinos and stuff when you were younger, but mine was nothing like that. I guess where I developed the hatred of poker machines was probably about 15 years ago now. There was one afternoon, and my brother, quite a close family, but he lives up in Queensland actually, called me up and he goes, I need to borrow some money to pay for petrol. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, all my credit cards aren't working. And he's like, it's really weird. And we're like, okay, lend him $50 and paid for his petrol. And then later that day, he goes, I've gone home, I've checked my bank. The bank is empty. Credit cards are empty. Kids' savings accounts are empty. And he literally did not see this happening. It must have been over the course of a few years. His partner, who they're not together anymore, had been, you know, a stay-at-home mum, going to the pub, you know, when the kids were at school, just day in and day out, and just pumping their money into that machine. And so devastating. Like, you know, the guy worked, well, the family worked really hard to get to where they were. They just sold their house. They had a big deposit in the bank, and it just went away, you know, like back to square one, you know, all that hard work. So from that point, like, pokies in my heart were really a bad word after that. Before that, they were just like, you know, mates going waste $50, $100. But after that, it was serious. And not going to lie, definitely took it out on, had a lot of anger for his partner as well.
Yeah.
You know, but obviously you start to realize over time that it's an addiction, and it's like, it's a disease. You know what I mean?
That's the right word.
Yep. A little bit of guilt there, but definitely was very angry at this person for a while. And then I reckon it was probably a year ago now, we're at the pub lunch with some mates, and they go, we're going to go play the pokies. And I'm like, sure, I'll come and stand there, like, really, you know, pretending to be interested. And I'm in the pokey room, you know, all the noises are going off. And I was just like, there's no negative noises here. And I asked my mate, I go, do they ever play a losing sound in these games?
Good dude.
Yeah, and my mates are like, I don't know. And then we started looking, and they didn't play any losing sounds, and it was kind of like an eye opener, you know. Like, it was then and there where I was like, I don't know what I was going to do, but I got to do something or say something about it, you know. And I mean, my day-to-day job is I work in advertising, and so I'm always coming up with ideas for, you know, brands, how to sell a chocolate bar, that sort of stuff. But to do an idea for like a cause or have a passion project is it's good, and it sort of starts to take up your time, you know. So it's been ticking for 12 months now, Ron. That was back when sort of had that epiphany. You know, these machines don't play a single losing sound. So it's quite easy to get, pulled into that trance when you're in there. And there's 30 machines all humming away, all making those sounds. So yeah, I think that was the point when I was like, I should make a losing sound and try and get it put in the machines.
I think it's great. I think it's fun. I think it's fantastic. I really do. Because as I've told you, I grew up in a gambling house. My father owned illegal casinos back in the 60s and 70s. Big bet on racehorses. Like I seen my old man lose $30,000 in the 60s on one horse, one race.
That's like $500,000 now.
That was a lot more. It was 3 houses
Whew.
in Glen Waverley, which was a good suburb in Melbourne.
Mate.
That was the equivalent to 3 houses.
Jeez.
On quarter-acre blocks. He lost in one race, and it got beat by half a head. And he ran second. He bet for the win because my father was a gambler.
Mm.
My whole life revolved around the fear and the feast of my father's gambling.
Mm.
If he'd lost, the anger and the resentment and the physical, emotional, verbal violence would come into the house. And if he won, we'd be all laughing and joking. And so all the moods revolved around this gambling.
Mm.
And I always swore I'd never be a gambler. I hated gambling. I got that passion for hating it.
Yeah.
But like you, I didn't understand that it's actually an addiction.
Yeah.
Later on in life, I became a drug addict. And I came out of jail in 1973, 74, and I started gambling on horses first. Well, we never had poker machines in Melbourne, so we never had poker machines. So the first time I seen a poker machine was in 1974, and all of a sudden, you had to put 2 20-cent coins in them those days.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I'm playing 2 machines, ching, 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 because I had a handle. I called one-arm bandits.
Yeah, the original.
The original. Why would they call them one-arm bandits? What's
Because you
a
had
bandit?
2 arms. Because you could play 2 if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Tell me.
And a bandit is a thief.
That's true. Was there a losing sound in them back then?
No.
Probably
never.
not even any. Probably no sounds back then. Just a bit of mechanical. But you know what? You did get a winning sound because you got the coins coming out.
And the coins drop as you win too.
That's that win. Yeah.
So you had this.
I remember coins coming out of the early poker machines when I was first turned 18.
Yeah, mate. And then I'd stopped gambling for a long time. And in 1987, 87, I think it was, I went to America.
Yeah.
And we met up with this woman who was a gambler, professional gambler. My business partner at the time was a gambler, not a professional. He was just, he was a loser. He wasn't a gambler, he was a loser. He used to donate all his money, his wife's money, his wife's mother's money.
Yeah. That's
all the inheritance all got blown away. And I went into business with him. And he lost a great deal of money of our company.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at the time. And I went to Vegas with him, and the lady was teaching him how to count cards, which is a skill when you're playing blackjack. And her daughter was teaching me how to play the poker machines. And there's all algorithms that you, at a certain number, you hold, and the old machines, you could hold 2 cards and let 3 wheels run. And she taught me the system of how that goes. But you'd have to play for something like 6 hours to win $500.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's hard work, And sometimes it might be a 12-hour sitting to rotate down $600. It was like, this is too hard, Every time I'd go out of that system, I would lose my money. And the old lady said to me, "Oh, Ronnie," she was really smart, Asian lady. She goes, "When you're playing the poker machine or you're playing cards and you get that feeling like, yeah, I'm going to win this hand. I'm going to win this hand." I said, yeah. I thought I'm like, yeah. She goes, "That's rubbish." She said, "That's your imagination." She said, "That's what they want you to think." She said, "They're teaching you to think like that." She said, "There is no emotion in gambling. It's numbers." And it really ruined my day.
You had so much fun.
Yeah. Here I was thinking that I'm going to win this pool or I'm going to win that flip of the card.
Yeah.
And she said to me, she was a professional gambler. She'd been banned from most of the casinos around the world. She said, "That's rubbish." She said, "And that's why you lose your money every time." Because hers was all about counting the cards and putting the odds in her favour. She knew that there was, out of the pack, there might have been 52 small cards and 24 high cards. So the odds of her getting the small cards was 2 to 1. So
Yeah.
she'd bet on that odd, you know?
Yeah.
There was more high cards there than they don't bet. Card counting is about highs and lows. It's not about knowing every card. It's the percentage of highs, the percentage of lows.
Knowing when thinking you're going to bust. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so what I did, I'd lost every cent I owned. My daughters were about 4 years old, and I promised them I'd buy them a pair of Levi jeans each and a pair of inline rollerblades, because there's none in Australia, inline rollerblades, and the old 501s. And I'd lost every cent. I ended up having to borrow money off someone over there to buy my kids rollerblades and jeans. They came back to Australia and I said, I'll never gamble again. I've been off drugs and alcohol for that long time too. So I used the same program to get off gambling that I used to get off drugs and alcohol. You know, I teach people how to stop gambling by using the same program that I used to stop drinking and drugging. But it is a disease and it is progressive. It gets worse. You know, it starts off, you lose 500, then you chase. Oh shit. Now I've got to lie to my husband or my wife. So there comes the dishonesty.
And once you're lying,
then you start to believe your own lies. I'll win a bet tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I remember my father when he had the casinos. I never seen many rich punters turn up, but I've seen a lot of rich bookmakers.
That says something, doesn't it?
The bookmakers be pulling up in their Mercedes or in their Buicks, you know, in the old days, you know, the Buick Rivieras, and I'm talking about the 60s. And the punters were catching a bus to the 2-up game.
Yeah.
So I realised at a really young age that the system's not built for the punter to win. And there's a real ironic story to all this for me. The guy that lost all my money, or not all my money, but lost a lot of my money, my ex-business partner who's dead now, who was a compulsive gambler, his stepson went on to work for Bally Poker Machines as a programmer in America. And he told us, the machine's programmed to lose this amount of money the government tell you how much it's got to lose and how much they can win, the percentages. So it's all
But even so, right, like they say that a poker machine is designed to lose, like, I think it's about 8%. But if you keep sitting there, that 8% becomes everything. It's not like you walk away, you've lost $10. No, you're going to end up losing everything.
Yeah, yeah. But not only do you lose that, but you lose your integrity and your self-worth.
Yeah. Yeah,
and your relationship with your family.
Yeah.
And it takes everything away from you. Gambling's worse than drug addiction because you can only get so high with drugs, and then you'll fall asleep or you'll go into psychosis, depending on what drug your choice is. You know, or you'll fall off the chair if it's alcohol or whatever it is. You know, with gambling, it's unlimited. I told you the story on the phone that I treated a young guy who sold his house, very similar to what your brother, and he split up with his wife, and he was feeling down, and they sold their house. And I think they got 680,000, 700,000 each, split up, and he blew 300,000 in 3 months. What he was doing, he was drinking a few beers, having a line of coke, and then he was playing the poker machines. Then he'd go home and he'd play the poker machines on his phone.
You
know, and to me, the way that the system now, who's advertising the football these days? The betting companies, gambling.
All of them. 365, Tabs, Sportsbet.
Everything's about gambling. I heard, and I don't know if it's true or not, I heard that they're going to stop advertising on football very soon because I have a friend who got approached by the casinos in America trying to buy all his domains. He owns a lot of domains. He owns Vegas.com and might be blackjack.com and pokermachines.com. He owns all those domains. And now that the big gambling companies realise that they're going to lose their advertising, so they're trying to buy all these domains so that when you type in poker machine, it directs you straight to lasvegasgambling.com.
They're crafty. There's always a lot of, in this sort of advertising, because I work in advertising, and in that industry, there's always a lot of pushback against any, alcohol advertising is always getting pushed back against. They cancelled cigarette advertising yonks ago, and now the sports betting is the big pushback. And it comes from a lot of different places, right? Like, it's not one thing that's doing it. Like, this one project might not change poker machines, but it's having all those little voices coming from different places, and then it's a groundswell, right? They're like, we've got to change something. But I've heard that it is change. The sports betting is going to change a lot.
The information I get is off a really, really smart guy. who's incredibly successful, smart, wealthy, informed human being. That's
Yep.
why he owns all the domains for betting.
Exactly.
He's
Well,
seen this coming a long time ago.
I'll keep this information secret, okay, Ron? Just between you and me.
Yeah.
Okay, so sure, I gave you the kind of history on how I, what led to my hatred of it, how I sort of how I came up with the sort of that insight that there's no losing sounds, and then so there was a point when I'm like, I'm gonna do this project, okay, and it was a little bit. I didn't really know what I was going to do about it at first. I just knew that I had to make the sound and kind of get it heard somehow. So the first thing I did, there was going to be a lot of favors I was going to call in. I can't do all these things myself, right? I have the idea and then see who can help out, see who's interested in helping. I approached a sound agency that I'd worked with like in the past, a long time ago. And I still had the boss's number and I go, I got this interesting idea that you might be, keen to sort of collaborate on. And I went and told him about it and I was sitting in the room with him, big fancy sound engineering office. And he's like, I'm 100% in, full backing. And I'm like, epic. So I was like, okay, might actually do this. So we developed the sound, right? And it wasn't just one sound. We made about 40 sounds. So there is the sound that you've heard on the film. There was a big voting process on which one gave the worst kind of, reaction, the most kind of, and we narrowed it down to this one. And it was based on all the sort of sounds that you have heard in your past that already drive fear and hatred in you, when you're playing games like fire alarms, all that sort of stuff. The sound is similar to that. So it took a while to develop all these sounds and we found that key one. And then we had to, I kind of had to because I've been pushing this, but I had to find someone who could help me. Like we were going to do an experiment with this sound, get the sound and then try it out on people. I knew that we could find people because people are gambling all day, every day down the road, from my house. But I needed to find someone to help me film it, record this kind of experiment. So again, another sort of old friend from the industry happened to be having a lunch with them. And I was talking about the idea. And before I even asked if they wanted to be involved, they're like, can I be involved in that? And I'm like, yeah, you can. You saved me the hard work of, asking you. So this was a photographer. He can also film and he's got a bit of he pulled in a crew. There's a lot that goes on behind a camera. Like there's lighting, sound, there's people keeping all the, taking all the data off the cameras. There's a lot going on. So he pulled all that together, had the sound, had the filming. Then I had to find the people. So I put some little posts on local Facebook groups, looking for people who like to play the pokies. Obviously don't want any seriously addicted gamblers, but just people who play it for fun, yada, yada. And then I got a whole bunch of replies and sort of, started talking to them and found the right people for the day. And then the next part in the process was probably the hardest bit. I had to get a machine. So that's, I'll just hang on. There's the machine. It's still sitting at the back of my house. And I looked on Gumtree. I called friends who worked at bars. I cold called people who owned bars. I tried calling people at universities that would have a test machine. Eventually I had to buy this one off the mafia. And it was pretty scary. Like I've never done anything like that before, but I'm sure you have in your days, yeah?
I may have known the man who owned Barley's in Australia. Yeah.
Exactly, mate. It might have been your mate that sold me this thing. But so I had to buy this off the mafia and I was quite worried. Like it comes with a 12-month prison sentence if you get caught. So I got to finish this project and get it the hell out of here. When we were doing the experiment on the day, everyone's like watching the door, no one's coming in, are they? No one's busted on us. No one's actually cared that much because, it's an old machine. It's probably about 8 years old now, but they are still in pubs. So got this illegal machine, which I'm not proud of, but we got it and we put the sound into it. And then we held a day where these people came in, we tried it out. Now, they had no idea that there was a new sound in the machine. They thought they were just coming to try out a new game. That's what I said. It's a new game.
Yeah.
And they came along and, it was really nice. They came in one at a time. We had, some Coca-Colas and lemonades and they're having a drink and then they got to go and play it. And we interviewed them beforehand and asked them all about what they liked about playing the pokies, because they like it, you know, they actually like it. And I'm just like, anyway, sure, it's your thing. But so talk to them for 5 or 10 minutes, you know, ask them all about their history and what they liked about pokies. And then they sat down and played it for about half an hour each. And it was long enough for them to sort of, and it was just fake money, right? Like I gave them some 50s and they put it in, and I can take them out later because I got the key. And then they played it for long enough to get the rhythm, you know. And then we turned the sounds on, maybe like 5 minutes in, and and we had like a secret camera in the machine. I'll show you.
Yeah,
There's a hole. Can you see that? There's a hole there. So we had cameras rigged up in the machine, and then we had a couple of people carrying cameras around filming them. They knew it was getting filmed and everything. And when we turned the sounds on, you could see like their normal face. You know, it was quite deadpan quite often. You know, Win was like, "Oh yeah, great." But when the sounds came on, man, it was annoying them. They were getting pissed off.
Yeah.
That was essentially the moment where, like, there was a whole bunch of us really hoping that would be the case. We're like, if this doesn't annoy them, we've just wasted 4 months.
Yeah.
But it really did annoy them. And look, then we sat them down and had another little chat with them afterwards in that video that we've shared today online. There's little snippets of those interviews, but there was a lot more. There was so much more talking to them and just getting some really rich stories out of them. And one of the ladies, the older lady who, like, she'd spent a lot of money on gambling on pokies in her day. She was actually like, "This is unfair, you know. Why have I, you know, like, why have I not known?" They all said that it would be a good thing if they came in, you know, bring the losing sound in. At least then you know, even if you're having fun, you know what's going on.
It's not a fair playing field.
It's not a fair playing field. There's only one side. There's only a goalpost down one end, and it's not for you to kick a ball in, you know.
Exactly.
That's
It's not about fairness. It's about winning. It's about winning. I've met Charlie Sheen, you know, and when he was winning, he was at his worst.
Oh my God, he's a character, isn't he?
Gambling with his life every day. God love him, Charlie.
Yeah.
So winning's, you know, what it's all about. I actually can't play a poker machine. I can't stand walking into a casino. I can't stand walking into the gaming room in a pub. All I see is desperation, hatred, self-acceptance, self-worth issues. You know, I see people living on a hope, on a dream, you know, this fantasy that the next one. I have friends who still play on their phones and they live in remote parts of Australia.
Yeah.
And they lose fortunes. I can't stand poker machines.
Yeah.
It's not poker machines personally. If you could play them for nothing, they'd probably be a fun game.
It might be.
Nothing.
No.
It's not nothing. It's your family. It's your credibility, it's your integrity. You become a liar, a thief, and a cheat. Not everybody, but a majority of people do not gain from gambling. It's not set up that way. Gambling is not set up for you to win. It's set up for you to lose.
I don't think any of, like, my friends will still talk about a win every now and again, but mate, they're losing like once a week, every week. You know, they've lost a couple $100, and
but you know what the funny part is? They only talk about their wins. They don't talk about their losses.
Mm.
You know, like all gamblers are in denial. And the scary part is, for me, anything that I can use to change the way I feel that's costing me money, emotional stability and happiness, is a very negative affliction.
Yeah, it's well put.
The way I look at it, it's an affliction.
Yeah. Why should your happiness cost like $50 per 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah. My wife and I and my business partner and his wife, we went to the Brisbane casino for the opening. We went down to have a look. And we walked into the place, and I always get this gut feeling because I hate them.
Mm.
And I said to my wife, "Here's $100. Put it in the poker machine." My wife's not an addict. She hasn't got that addictive personality like me.
Yeah.
And she said, "What do we do now?" I said, "Just push that button." And she was playing that one. I said, No. The end button. 5 double, 5 double, 5 double. The money was gone in, honestly, I think six pulls.
Yeah.
$100 was gone.
Yeah.
Like, that was rubbish. I said, yeah. And so I used to do that for 6 and 8 hours at a time once. She just shook it because she doesn't have the affliction that I have.
Yeah.
Now, the poker machine is not the problem. The people are the problem. But the poker machine is assisting the people with the problem.
Yeah.
So what I think you're trying to do is bring light onto the subject that you're being conned. This is all a facade. The dancing clown banging the tambourines has really got a big knife stabbing you in the back. And that's what's happening. And I'm really, 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 really pleased to be able to have you on my show to bring this to light, because we don't talk enough about the things that are killing the fabric of our society. We talk about the youth crime, we talk about this, but you know, some of them youths, their parents have done their money at the casino. They've done their money at the pub. They're drinking, they're drugging, they're gambling, they're doing everything destructive and negative, and wondering why the next generation is coming behind them, stealing cars and robbing shops, because the negativity in the house, it's a poison. It really is a poison. Gambling's a poison. That's, as I said to you before, it's progressive. It always gets worse. Even when I won money as a gambler, I was never grateful. It was like, oh, you should have bet more. Oh, you should have bet more.
Yeah, you could have made like twice that, you know?
And I very rarely walked away a winner. Very rarely did I ever walk out of a casino with a pocket of money. Even when I could be up a lot of money, I never left.
Yeah.
If I did leave, I thought, you pussy.
You've dogged it. You've dogged it.
What a pussy. You could have made 10 times that money. You could have been on $1 million winning streak.
Yeah.
You know, you won 20 grand or something, you think, oh man, you should be grateful. I wasn't grateful. So when you get to a point like that, the worst thing a gambler can do is win.
Yes. And when you were saying about that $100 that you gave to your wife, I was like, if she had hit the feature on like slap 2, that might have got her, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's how a lot of people get got when they're like first game and they get the feature.
Yeah.
But, you know, my first $20, nothing. And then never again.
Yeah. It was like my first shot of heroin. It was like everything was over.
It was the best, right?
What I had was numbness.
Yeah.
Most people that gamble are trying to numb something. They're trying to look for a feeling outside of themselves, where what they need to do is look inside themselves, because all afflictions, addictions are a character defect of our own belief systems. We are trying to cover something inside of ourselves. We're trying to make up for, because we were told we weren't good enough, or we never got picked first, or we did something at school and the teacher told us we were stupid, or we got a D instead of an A and our parents frowned upon us. And it can go right back to that simple thing. It caused the trauma. Then we do is we try to overcompensate the trauma by masking it with some affliction, some outside issue, when it's really an inside job. And I think the inside job is proven by your machine affecting our mental state, because this is where the problem is up here. The problem's up here. We have a thinking problem, not a gambling problem. We have a thinking problem, not a drinking problem. We think we're going to win. We think that the machine's fair. We think that sound's a winning sound. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. Next pull, next push, it's going to win. It's going to win. So what they're doing is they're manipulating our mind subconsciously through that sound. Can you imagine that? Yeah, and I'd love to hear the machine. And we will put the videotape you sent us. We'll put that on this clip so people can hear it. And mate, I loved it. That sounds like, loser.
It's actually good, isn't it? I wish that it was in all the machines.
But don't worry about wishing, mate. You never know what you can do. Everything starts with a thought and then action. And then if we can get a reaction, they always talk about the chemical reaction, and it comes from the action, then you can start an army. Well, that's what you do is you need to get the word out there. And that's why I said to you, when you approached me, I said, yeah, let's do it 100%.
Oh, you were so keen. I loved it.
Let's do it. Because that's something close to my heart. I've been dealing with addiction all my life.
You're talking about a reaction. Like, since you've posted the video today, people are already signing the petition. So there you go.
Oh, beautiful. And that's what we want. We want people to sign the petition. We want, and as I said, I'll talk to you off camera. I have other ideas that can help move your case forward. Because I'm always thinking, you got to remember, I came from an ex-criminal background, so I'm like a lawyer. I'm always trying to present my case and move forward. You never ask the question unless you already know the answer.
It's a good way to go.
Yeah. So when I approach people on your behalf and say, this is a really good cause, can you become involved in it? I already know the answer.
Exactly.
Because I know what their view is about people losing family. because most of the people I'm associated with, we care about being a good member of society. I came from the world of being a bum. You know, when I say a bum, not a bum, being a criminal. You know, it's not a good life. That's why I wrote a book called Born into the Lie of Crime. It's supposed to say life, and I put the F, crossed the F out. It was
Yeah.
born into the lie of crime. You know, because I was brought up by criminals and taught the crime was a way of life. And now the best thing in life today is honesty. I have no fear. Poor buggers playing those poker machines are full of fear. Fear of being caught, fear of judgment, fear of loss, fear of not having enough, fear of going home. Now I'm going to drink a few more beers. Now I'm going to drink a few more beers.
Yeah.
Then their self-worth goes lower and lower. Then they start stealing to pay the money that they're going to borrow it off you yesterday. So now how am I going to pay Jimmy? Well, I'll go and rob Peter to pay Paul.
Mm.
So they start stealing out of their businesses or out of the companies or out of who they work for. So then they stay up all night playing poker. So now they're not performing at work. So they're actually stealing when they're working for me because they're not performing at 100%. They're performing at 50%, but I'm still paying them 100%. So you're basically stealing my time. So it does catapult into each other. Everything runs into each other. Everything's got a knock-on effect. That's why I love what you're doing, and I think it's a really valid project. I see a massive future with it. I really do. I see it being as Aussie lose between 12 and 16 billion a year on the Pokies.
It's a lot. That's a
So
lot.
40 million a day
Yeah.
on the
That is
Pokies.
so much money, mate. Think what you could do with that.
All the homeless people we could feed.
Yeah, exactly.
All the single mothers, all the mothers that are being abused, all the women that are in domestic violence.
Or
Drug and
a
alcohol
4-day
rehabilitation.
week. You know, like something. Like the world would be so much better off
See,
putting that money somewhere else.
if I won lotto tomorrow, I'd open a rehab for first responders, police, firemen, ambulance workers, truck drivers. And that's a really thing to my heart. And everybody that knows me knows me. That's my goal. That's my goal. And that goal is going to be achievable through my other companies because my lifestyle won't change if we make more money. All it does is give me the ability to help more people.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And that's what
great.
life's got to be about. It's got to be about giving. It can't
Totally.
be about taking. You can only keep what you got by giving it away. And the more you give, the more you receive. There are contradictions and they're all that stuff. But believe me, they're true. Everything I have today is a direct result of helping other people.
Brilliant, mate.
And that's what you're doing now. You're trying to help people. And that's why I wanted to get on board. That's why I was so keen. That's why I believe in what you're doing. And, you know, as I said, we'll talk off camera later and we'll try to work out how we can assist each other achieve our goals. You know, we have goals too. We need to help people. We need to bring a light, shine a light. Because you know what? Secrets die in the light of day.
They
and
do.
Nobody even remember. I didn't even, when you said Pokies don't have losing sounds, I thought, they don't. I'm
No one
71
thinks
years
about it, do they?
I'm
Yeah.
71 years of age. You know what I mean? Like I've been around machines for 50 years. And when you said it to me, I'm like, I never thought of that.
Mm.
And I used to always picture the clown, the dun, 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 you know, like
Always happy.
the circus, you know, it's all smoke and mirrors. And in the background, you know, because that's how my brain works, you know, it's like, look at this, look at this, look at this, slap with that hand, you know, look at this, look, slap with that hand. And that's what addiction does. And that's what addiction does. And that's what that machine's doing. That machine's a liar, a thief, and a cheat.
Yeah.
And it's working through our brains.
I was going to say, imagine in like 20 years, there's losing sounds in every machine and you're just like, oh, remember that chat we had 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Now there's losing sounds all around the world and, you know, people are losing less.
And people have woke up to the fact that, wait a minute, this ain't that much fun.
Yeah.
See, I deal with a lot of drug addicts and I say to them, is it still joyful? They go, oh no, the joy's gone. How long's the joy been gone? Oh, years.
Yeah.
Why don't you stop? I can't. You can. You just don't want to. I do want to. Well, if you want to, you have to do this, this and this. And I get so much pushback and I say, well, you don't want to. And the ones that do want to stop very quickly. Once they get the information, see, because information is power.
Yeah.
Now, what you're doing and I'm doing right now is we're informing people that they're being conned. We're lifting the lid on the poker machine con. It's all a facade. It's all a rip-off, and all we want is your money. We don't care about your wife. We don't care about your children. We don't care about your career. We don't care about your company. We care about getting that money out of your pocket into our machine, and we'll play you some funny tunes. So while we're robbing you, will make you feel good. And you'll walk away thinking we're a good bloke. And that's what's happening with the poker machines. It really, really is. It's so nice to be part of something that I believe is going to expose, I don't know how far it can take it, but it's going to expose the fact that it's a facade, it's a front, it's a fraud, it's a con. And when people realise they're being conned, a lot of people react really good to it. It's like, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
That's just a rip-off.
Yeah.
And that's what we hope to achieve by having you on our show today, and so we can tell our listeners, because a lot of our listeners will still be playing poker machines. They may have stopped taking drugs. There's some that are still taking drugs that listen to our stuff. And all we're saying is that, hey, here's another part of the con. Here's another part of the matrix. It's about taking. It's not about giving. If it was about giving, how can they build billion-dollar casinos all around the world based on poker? So, it's a con. It's a con. But I'm really excited to put your video out for you, mate, and to see what sort of response we get, and this will be continued, Stay tuned for the next exciting episode of the Pokey fucking rip-off,
Exactly.
But,
and
I'm
hey,
excited for you, Neil. I really am.
Thanks, mate. There was something you said before which I hadn't actually thought about. Like, I was always kind of like, it'd be great if government could change the rules, on the software. But if people just actually learn that there's no losing sounds, then they might just go like, you know what? Fuck.
That's right. That's my aim.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's my aim. So I'm a complete abstinence sort of guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I can't have one drink or one drug. I want 1,000 of them. So most gamblers not everybody's going to be a gambler addiction like me. You'll have social gamblers, you'll have binge gamblers, and then you'll have flat gamblers. Then you'll have your guy that goes and puts, if he's not losing. Kerry Packer once said, I don't have a gambling problem because I never lose more than I can afford.
But most people lose more than they can afford.
Exactly. But Kerry said that came out of Kerry's mouth. I don't have a gambling problem because I never lose more than I can afford. If only that was true for everybody else. But there's not that many Kerry Packers in Australia, and there's not that many Kerry Packers in the world. Australia would be a lot better place off if we had a lot more Kerry Packers, especially running the country. I mean that sincerely, because Kerry was a hard man, very principled, and he was a brilliant brain. He understood people really well. But I don't know where we go from here, but I know that there's going to be more to this than meets the eye. And I wish you all the success, and I thank you sincerely for coming on The Truth About Addiction. You got any last words, Neil?
Mate, I just loved being on here and chatting, and thanks for having us.
Yeah, mate. No, my pleasure. And as I said, stay tuned to the next exciting episode.
Let's hope so. Fingers crossed.
That's it.
I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.